years ago, strange creatures roamed the South Pole. Nighttime here lasted for months. And out of the long, cold polar darkness emerged a hardy new breed of dinosaur. Their discovery has changed forever the story of prehistoric life. On a dawn like this, more than 100 million years ago, dinosaurs rose to greet the sun. They were unlike any others ever found, and their bones reveal new evidence on how their kind came to rule the Earth. This is Australia, once a minor outpost of paleontology, now a new frontier of dinosaur discovery. Dinosaur fossils are found only in rocks of a certain age, and most of Australia is far older than even that distant time. Yet, here on the rugged shores of Victoria, Cretaceous sediments 100 million years old have been found. Paleontologist Tom Rich of the Museum of Victoria and a dedicated team of fossil hunters have been exploring these rock beds for more than a decade. It's a treacherous enterprise. Packing in all their gear, the team descends the 300-foot cliffs to the site of their dig. American by birth, Tom came to Australia with his wife, Pat, a fellow paleontologist researching unusual finds of fossil birds.
Okay, I want to get down on that beach. Let's go.
But he began to uncover fossils of his own, and so spectacular were his finds that the site was christened Dinosaur Cove. Today, Dinosaur Cove is on the southern coast of Victoria, west of Melbourne. But 110 million years ago, at the height of the Cretaceous, Australia itself was well to the south. Together with Antarctica, it formed the remnant of the great southern landmass of Gondwana. Africa, India, and South America had already set course for the north. But Dinosaur Cove still remained inside the Antarctic Circle, beneath a great river that marked the boundary between the last two continents. A great forested plain lies lost under the Southern Ocean, a plain where fleet-footed dromaeosaurs hunted down their prey. Allosaurs once stalked the river's edge, while hypsilophodontids nervously grazed nearby. It was an assembly of creatures that the Earth will never see again. In the surrounding mountains, streams ran through cool rainforests of conifers and ferns, bearing sediment down to the floodplain. Dinosaur bones settled into the silt, sinking ever deeper into the accumulating sediment. Here they would wait some 100 million years to be found.
Well, it's nice to be back here after all this time. How long has it been since you've been here, Nick?
It's only November, actually. I came down to check the beach in case there's any erratics.
All right.
Tom Rich and his team are searching for cracks in this rocky tomb. The ancient floodplain is now at the foot of the steep coastal cliffs.
Lousy at this time of year.
Determined to reach more than the slim face of fossil-bearing sediments exposed by the tide, Tom has resorted to unprecedented measures. 10 years ago, he set up more than a fossil dig. He launched a full-scale mining operation.
Righto.
Expert mining engineers volunteered their services. Dynamite, jackhammers, drills, and back-breaking labor finally opened tunnels into the rock and exposed the waiting bones.
I don't know of any other place in the world where people have gone after dinosaurs by deliberately starting to tunnel. There are dinosaurs known from mines in other places in the world. It's one thing to inherit an existing structure that's already set up to work underground. It's another thing to have to set it up from yourself. And I didn't know anything about mining to begin with, and so I had to learn.
Some 300 tons of rock have been removed, and 200 feet of tunnels have been excavated, all to prepare the way for an army of volunteers searching for the scattered remains of a lost world.
Each worker might only find 1 or 2 bits of bone a day, but between 15 to 30 people, you'd rack up 50, 60, 80 fragments every day.
At first, mining equipment was brought in by helicopter, but this soon proved too expensive. An aerial tramway solved the problem, bringing supplies down a 1,000-foot cable to the miners below. Fossil-bearing rocks were sent back up the cliff for study. Slowly, the dangerous work progressed. And all the while, in concert with the blasts of dynamite and the rock-shattering drills and jackhammers, was the ever-present roar of the sea.
The sea was a constant thought in our minds. In fact, you didn't have to look at it, you could hear it. When there's a threatening wave, there's usually a crack. There was occasion, for example, when I heard the crack, I looked up, I saw a huge wave coming in. I ran into the tunnel, ran up a ramp within the tunnel, turned around and saw the sea actually fill the tunnel right to the roof. And this is the sort of thing you just had to be aware of. It was a fact of life. We had to learn to know the sea, because if we didn't, somebody would have got hurt or swept out to sea.
These waves are a restless ally. Tom's work is a constant race against time and the tides.
The sea is sort of like God. It giveth and it taketh away. Without the ocean to expose the bones, they wouldn't have them. But the fact is that the ocean, once you've found the bones, make it very difficult to collect them. I mean, logistically, Dinosaur Cove was a nightmare.
Yet the sea can bring strange and wonderful gifts. Tom was about to make the discovery of a lifetime. Not just a completely new dinosaur, but one that holds a crucial key to how dinosaurs came to rule the planet for almost 200 million years. The Southern Ocean continues to pound away at the cliffs of Dinosaur Cove. Tom Rich and his team race to pry clues from the rocks before the sea can sweep them away. 5,000 specimens have now been found, more than 150 species of plants and animals. Fossils are the only physical evidence of prehistoric life on Earth. What was that life like, that Earth of 100 million years ago? Dinosaurs inhabited a warmer world. Even for the creatures of Dinosaur Cove living close to the South Pole, temperatures were mild by today's standards. No ice cap imprisoned them, but their forests were cold and damp. They lived in a climate that resembled modern-day Scotland. How did dinosaurs flourish in these conditions when no reptiles can survive in them today? Tom looked for answers in the bones. In 1987, the team uncovered fragments of a skeleton, a common plant eater called Hypsilophodontid. They quickly realized they had a breakthrough, a major discovery that was almost an accident.
It was dark in the tunnels. It was wet. It was muddy. They found one part of the specimen, and realized that there might be more of it. So then the crew frantically went through the rubbish heap, and after about an hour or two, found several more bits of it. And then they went through it again to be darn sure there wasn't more, because they realized that, hey, wait a minute, we got something unusual here. We've got what looks like a partial skeleton, which we've never seen before.
Embedded in the rock was the long, narrow skull of a new species. It was a small and agile animal, and Tom named it Dinosaur after his own little daughter. But there was something unusual about its skull, something astonishing. This dinosaur had enormous optic lobes. The optic lobe is the region of the brain where messages sent from the eye are translated into a visual image. With a large area of its brain dedicated to processing light, Dinosaur was a dinosaur that could see in the dark. And darkness was a daunting fact of life in the polar regions. During 4 months of the year, the creatures of Dinosaur Cove would have foraged and hunted without help from the sun. With its adaptation to the long Antarctic night, Dinosaur is challenging the common perception that dinosaurs only lived in lush tropical regions. And they flourished in an age when great changes were underway. Continents continued to move, and climates began to cool. Sometime in the Cretaceous, distinct seasons emerged for the very first time. At long last, winter had come to the world. The rapid transition from summer to winter appears in the fossil record of mass leaf fall. And still the dinosaurs thrived. To forage through the polar winter, Dinosaur would have needed a metabolism that could generate its own heat. It may even have been warm-blooded, keeping on the move to escape predators. Its world lit only by the pale, cold face of the passing moon. So far, only Dinosaur displayed a special adaptation to prolonged darkness, and this gives rise to new questions. Did some dinosaurs migrate to escape the long winter night? Were others able to hibernate? These are further mysteries whose answers may lie buried in the time tunnels of Dinosaur Cove.
What do you think it is?
I'd say maybe a vertebra, maybe Hypsilophodon, but a small one.
Back on the beach, Tom and his colleagues searched for further revelations in the rocks, and there would be more to come. The next find would shatter the dinosaur timeline and launch entirely new theories on when and where dinosaurs first evolved. Inspired by the discoveries at Dinosaur Cove, Tom Rich's team fanned out along the coast, hoping to find other exposed fossil beds. Fragments of dinosaur bones had once been reported by some students digging at Inverloch, 200 miles to the east of Dinosaur Cove. It was a good place to begin their search. In 1991, the team got a lucky break when a severe storm hit the coast. The sand was cleared away from a flat rock outcrop, revealing the fragments of 30 fossil bones. It was the biggest find in Australia since Dinosaur Cove.
Looks like an old...
As curator of the growing collection of bones at the Museum of Victoria, Tom Rich comes to check on the fieldwork. Leslie Cool, one of the team to discover the site, is in charge of the dig.
Probably not a shed tooth.
Every day, sand and pools of water have to be cleared away before the work can begin. Here at Inverloch, the fossil-bearing rocks are spread out along the beach within the tidal zone.
work.
The crew has only 6 hours between the tides to work the site.
Is it heavy?
To everyone's amazement, they discovered the rocks here at Inverloch were laid down 120 million years ago, 10 million years before those at Dinosaur Cove. Here was the chance to look even further into the past.
What I think we should do is maybe try and remove some of this rock above it. How do you think we should go about doing that?
I'd say if we run a crack along the...
The site has produced some total surprises. Dinosaurs are cropping up in the wrong place at the wrong time. Some long-standing theories of dinosaur evolution have been turned upside down.
One of the exciting finds that we have from this area is the bone from an animal called a protoceratops, which means an early ceratopsian dinosaur.
The ceratopsians were the great family of horned dinosaurs. Protoceratops was a primitive member that was thought to have originated in North America. Now, Australia has stolen that claim. Here at Inverloch, Protoceratops appeared 40 million years earlier than anywhere else in the world.
Which means that possibly these dinosaurs actually evolved here in Australia rather than in North America as we originally believed. So that's really exciting news for us. Also, we have evidence of an animal called a Struthiomiimid, which means ostrich mimic dinosaur.
Fossils of Struthiomiimid are extremely rare. They were known from only 2 sites in North America, and now this find places them 40 million years earlier than previously thought.
So again, it means that these animals probably originated in the southern hemisphere and in Australia in particular before they appear in the northern hemisphere. So it's very exciting. It's a new era for Australian paleontology.
As the rock saw slices into the past, it destroys one timetable and establishes another. Fossil finds from North America place Struthiomiimid and Protoceratops there 90 million years ago. The dig at Inverloch, however, proves they walked ancient Australia long before then, 120 million years ago. Far from being a backwater of the Cretaceous world, Australia may well have been a cradle of dinosaur evolution. And there is still more to this story, for Inverloch was about to reveal dinosaurs that had miraculously escaped extinction for 40 million years. Day after day, new bones are being pulled from the ground at Inverloch. Leslie and her team of amateur paleontologists never imagined just how their discoveries would rewrite the history of so many species of dinosaurs.
One of the most startling finds that we have from this area was called a labyrinthodont, which means maze-like tooth. And it was extinct everywhere else in the world at the time it was living here.
This deadly 15-foot-long amphibian, a kind of primitive crocodile, was an ancient creature even older than the dinosaurs. It would have lived near lakes and rivers, preying upon small animals like Lielanosaura as they came down to drink. And an even greater terror stalked the land. Leslie and her team discovered the bones of an Allosaurus dinosaur, a precursor to T-Rex. With its huge jaws and dagger-like teeth, this would have been Australia's top predator. Incredibly, these primitive monsters were thought to have died out 160 million years ago. And yet, bones from this site show that these creatures lived on here 40 million years after they disappeared across the world.
Why this is so, whether it was the environment or the isolation of Australia at the time, we really don't know. But for some reason, they continued living on here when they were dead everywhere else in the world.
The survival of these relics of an even earlier age tells us that things were very different here from the rest of the world. Somehow, Australia became a prehistoric ark, a long-lasting refuge that enabled creatures to cheat extinction. These questions of time, of origins and extinctions, are among the greatest puzzles of the planet. We are discovering that dinosaurs were fast, alert, highly adapted animals, able to survive all the extremes of a changing planet. So varied and successful was the biological empire they ruled, that without the mysterious catastrophe that brought them to extinction 65 million years ago, they might rule it still.